in the year 2004, and I was certified as a master black belt from Indian Statistical Institute, Chennai, in 2013. And I am also a certified project management professional, PMP, and I was got certified in the year 2011. And I am also a lead auditor for ISO 9001 2015 from BVQI Chennai. And for the last 10 years, I am running my company. I know. So my company name is Ice Cubes. So we specialize in the customized content development, training, and the consulting and project implementation support for lean management and Lean Six Sigma. So I have experience working with multinational companies like Amazon, then Tata Telecom, L&T Valves, uh, Standard Chartered Bank, Pfizer Healthcare, ESAP, the largest manufacturer of uh, building machines, welding machines in India, Lennox, Asian Paints, and so on. So that is a uh, brief introduction about me and my company. So today we are actually accredited by the leading Lean Six Sigma accreditor, that is the Council for Six Sigma Certification, and our courses, Green Belt and Black Belt, are accredited by uh, Council for Six Sigma Certification. And for the project management professionals, we are the authorized training provider, authorized training partner for PMP exam. So that is a brief introduction about myself and my company. So now we will just start with the development training. So again, the topic is divided into four different topics. That is overview of Six Sigma. Then we are going to learn a bit about what is Lean, overview of Lean. Then some critical phases like define, measure, and control phases. So where actually the role of the yellow belt will be quite needed. So I would like to start with a small definition of what is a problem. So a problem is an obstacle which makes it difficult to achieve a desired goal, objective, or purpose. So for example, in our organizations, we are always given some targets in terms of some productivity, yield, then percentage on-time delivery, percentage response time, and the quality parameters, etc. So we are always given some targets. And whenever we are working hard towards achieving the target, then many times we are unable to achieve the targets because again we are facing some hindrance. So there is some obstacle which is preventing us from reaching the target, and because of that we are under tremendous from our senior management, and we are also under a lot of pressure. So the problem is it is a situation or issues that is yet under thought. So we are not able to achieve the target or our goals, and the issue is still unresolved, then we got this a problem. So what is problem solving? Any problem will have one or many solutions. So we roll out any obvious four options, examine the consequences, identify the best solution, and put our solutions into practice. So we try to, whenever we have a problem, then we try to assemble our colleagues from the different departments, and then we do a little brainstorming session of what could be the probable causes for the problem. And then based upon the discussion, maybe we will take some action. And maybe for some time, the problem seems to be under the control. But maybe after 2, 3 months, again, the same problem may come and haunt us because we have not analyzed the root causes for the problem, and the solutions, whatever we are taken, is not a permanent solution. So because of the inadequate handling of the problem keeps on repeating, and then it can bring us from achieving our targets. So in order to solve those problems, then we have the various problem solving tool methodology. So that's what we are seeing in this particular slide. So depending upon the complexity of the problem, what we are trying to solve, so we can classify this into different methodologies. So the methodologies what we use for solving the simple complexity problem, we call them just to do it or quick wins. So again, you imagine that you are entering a orchard having a lot of fruit-bearing trees, and your objective is to taste the sweetness of the fruits. So that is what is your aim. So when you are entering the aim, you may find that there are already a lot of fruits that are fallen. So the only effort what you will have to take is to just bend and pick those fruits and eat it. So there is no extra efforts needed. So similarly, whenever you are walking away in walking in our floor, production floor or the working area, right from the initial process to the final process, end to end, you just make a visit. So you will find that there are always a lot of problems which are there, and only thing what you need to do is to just to note down all the problems, and then you just think of what the actions you can take. It is not going to be a very tricky problems. It may be a simple problem, common sense answer can solve those issues. Only thing is you need to list the problems and then decide upon what are the actions you have to take, and then you have to implement it. So we call that just to do it. Okay? So no need, it's only like bending and eating the fruit. So no efforts required. But again, many times we are blind to a lot of problems that is happening around us. So only thing is we need to see with the open-minded, open eyes about what are the problems surrounding it and take action. Then a lot of improvement we will be able to achieve. The other problems is quick wins. So we also call this a low-hanging fruits. So again, when you walk down the orchard, you will find that there may be a lot of fruits which are just hanging in the lower branches. So only effort what you need is you have to stretch yourself a bit, and then you will be able to eat those mangoes, eat those fruits. So similarly, in our work area, there may be some problems where just by putting in a simple effort, small effort, you'll be able to get big benefit. Right? So by using the simple problem-solving tools like the fishbone diagram or a Pareto chart or a scatter plot or a control chart, so you are going to solve the simple problems with the lesser effort, but the efforts will be very like the result impact will be very high. You'll be able to save a lot of money. So the just do it and the quick wins are used for solving simple problems. And then for solving the medium complexity problems, then you can take the help of Lean or ET report. Lean is a methodology for identifying and eliminating waste in the process. And we are going to learn about that a bit in detail just after some time. So this methodology was popular in Japan starting from 1950s. But starting from 2000s, again, this methodology is followed across the globe, and this has resulted in a lot of benefits in improving the efficiency of the processes. And AD report is a methodology for solving repeated problems. So in your process and in your customer complaint, if you are getting a lot of complaints which are repetitive in nature, then those type of problems can be solved by using the 80 methodology. So 8 discipline, problem solving methodology, mainly used for addressing the customer complaint. So we can call them as a middle hanging fruit. But what is going to be more tasty and more fruitful is the high hanging fruit. So what we call as a Six Sigma methodology. Okay. So the Six Sigma methodology, again, it is difficult to implement, very difficult to successfully conclude the project. But if you are going to do this project and then successfully, then you are going to find the permanent solution for the problems which you have been struggling to solve years together. especially the complex technical issues for which you do not know the root causes for the problem. And since you do not know the root causes for the problem, then you are not able to find the solution. So in the Six Sigma methodology, by using the statistical tools, you will be able to find out which are the critical root causes which are contributing to the problem, so that you will be able to take action and then you will be able to permanently solve the problem. So again, depending upon the type of problems what you are trying to solve, again, there are three methodologies for that. The DMAIC methodology is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So again, we are going to learn about that in depth shortly from now. So this is a methodology for improving the existing products and existing processes. So if a process is existing for more than 1 year, and we are finding that variability is the issue, that means sometimes you are getting the best of the result, and then sometimes you are getting the worst of the result, and we do not know why the results are coming the best, and we also do not know why the results are coming worst. So those type of problems we will be able to solve by using the DMAIC methodology. Whereas the DMA-DV approach is used for improving the re-engineering the processes. So beyond but because of the design of our process, maybe beyond a particular point, we may not be able to achieve the results, business results, what we are wanting. So in that case, we may have to dismantle the current process entirely, and then we'll have to do the re-engineering of the processes. So for that, we use the DMA-DV approach. Define, measure, analyze, design, and verify. And if you want to develop a new product right from the scratch, then you can use the CDOV approach. Concept, design, optimize, and verify. So this methodology is used for improving the developing a new product right from the scratch. So again, as I told you, the Six Sigma methodology is the most difficult of all, but that is going to give you the best result. So you'll be able to find the permanent solution for the problem. So now we will just learn about what is Six Sigma. So Six Sigma is again, I will just start with the two basic principles. So I would like to tell a small story. So one day, this is again from one of the greatest epics of India, that is Mahabharata. So one day, Guru Dronacharya, he was teaching the war-related skills to both Kauravas and Pandavas. And one day he called all of them to a river bank, and on a tree in the river bank, he placed a bird made of clay. And the target given to the students was to hit the bird in one arrow. So first came Duryodhana, the eldest of the Kaurava, and when he started taking the aim, the Guru asked him, "What are you seeing?" The Duryodhana told that I am seeing the bird. Again, the Guru asked him, "What else are you seeing?" The Duryodhana, he wanted to impress the Guru. And then he started telling that I am seeing the tree behind, I'm seeing the river behind, I'm seeing the forest behind, mountain behind, and so on. And the Guru checked whether he was holding the bow properly, whether he was taking care of the breeze that was passing at that point of time while he was taking the aim, whether his bows and arrows were made of good quality material. So he was not satisfied with the inputs and the process conditions of Duryodhana, and he was not confident that Duryodhana will hit the target, and he just asked him to quit. So like that, one by one, all the Kauravas and Pandavas came, and when they were taking the aim, the Guru was asking similar questions, and the disciples were giving the similar answers, and he asked them to quit even without trying. So last came Arjuna, the most favorite disciple of Guru Dronacharya. And again, when he started taking the aim, then the Guru again asked him, "What are you seeing?" Then Arjuna told that I am seeing the bird. Again, the Guru asked him, "What else are you seeing?" Then Arjuna told that he is seeing the eye of the bird. Again, the Guru asked him, "What else are you seeing?" Then Arjuna told that I am seeing the eyeball of the bird. So again, the Guru checked like whether his bows and arrows were made of good quality material, whether he was holding the bows properly, whether he was taking care of the priest that was passing at that point of time. And once he was satisfied that Arjuna's inputs and process conditions were right, then he was 200% confident that he will get the target. And then he gave the approval for Arjuna to shoot the arrow. Then Arjuna took it, shot the arrow, and it went and bang hit the eyeball of the bird. So even though the story was written few thousands of years ago, the moral of the story is holding good even in the modern day today, what we call as the process approach, which is one of the basic principles of Six Sigma. So before understanding what is a process approach, let us try to understand what is a process. So a process is a set of activities done to convert the inputs into output. So we take some raw materials or we take some information and then we process it through various stages, through the machines or some software or hardware, and then finally we get the required output. For example, we take the case of a digestion process. So in the digestion process, the input what we are having is the food, and the food is processed through various organs like the mouth, tongue, teeth, the food pipe, the small intestine, large intestine, stomach, kidney, and so on, under various process conditions. And then finally, we get the output, the energy and excreta. So the food input is converted into the output energy. So maybe one day you had some problem of stomach indigestion. So you went to the doctor and told him that you have the problem of stomach indigestion. So immediately the starter will ask questions like, so do you have this problem quite often? When did you have this problem last time? So did you have some outside food and all? So he's trying to assess whether what was the problem in the inputs and process conditions. Then you may remember that 2 days ago you had some pizzas in an outside restaurant, and only after that you are having this problem. Immediately, the doctor will analyze that the problem is because of the outside pizza you had, and then accordingly she will give the medicine. And once you take the medicine, then your problem of indigestion is going to be solved. So that means whenever you have a problem in the output, don't bother too much about the problem in the output. Try to analyze what are the problems in the inputs and process condition. Then the output will always be consistent. So that is what is the process approach, which says control the inputs, control the process conditions, output will always be consistent. Control the inputs, control the process conditions, output will always be consistent. So all of us are under tremendous pressure to solve the problems in the output from the senior management. But in our endeavor to just to solve the problems in the output, we seldom have time to analyze the problems in the inputs and process condition. And because of that only, we are struggling. So the process approach says control the inputs, control the process conditions, output will always be consistent. The other basic principle you need to know when you want to learn about Six Sigma is about variability. Variability in any process in it is inevitable. So whether you are doing a manufacturing process or a natural process or a IT service process or a software development process, variability is inevitable. So variation is simply a deviation from expectation. For example, you just want to grind 11 millimeter rod to a 10 millimeter. So you set the machine and then start running the machine. But again, after some times, when you measure some samples, you are not going to exactly get 10 millimeter. So you may get somewhere between, say, 9.7 to 10.7. Variation will always be there. So these variations in the outputs are caused by the variations in the inputs and process conditions. As per the process approach which we just now learned, so the variations in the outputs are caused because of the variations in the inputs and process condition. And sometimes the variation becomes too large that the process is starting to produce the defect, not meeting the customer requirement. For example, the customer may be like when we are training 11 millimeter rod to 10 millimeter rod, and the customer is willing to accept 10 plus or minus 0.5. That is, he is willing to accept from 9.5 to 10.5. So initially, your process was running good, and it was always producing from 9.7 to 10.3. That means no rejections. We were very happy. But suddenly, one of the bolt in the machine broke, and because of that, the vibration started increasing and the variability increased. And then your process is now producing from 9.2 to 10.8. So in that case, whatever you are going to produce from 9.2 to 9.5 and 10.5 to 10.8 is not going to meet the customer requirement, and you have to scrap it. So your process is starting to produce the defect. So the Six Sigma methodology helps you to reduce the defects by reducing the variation in the output, by reducing the variations in the inputs and process condition. So Six Sigma helps you to reduce defects. So how do you reduce the defects? By reducing the variations in the output. How do you reduce the variation output? By reducing variation in inputs and process conditions. And for a process which is running at a Six Sigma level, you are going to get only 3.4 defects per million opportunity. That means, assume that you are talking about a aircraft landing process. So across the globe, in 3 months, 1 million aircraft landings are happening. And out of these 1 million aircraft landings, only 3 landings are going to be defective. If you are going to produce 1 million electronic components or automobile components every day, out of these 1 million components, only 3 components are going to be defective. So low is the defect rate, so that the customers are going to be very happy. We are going to be more profitable. And that is the reason why most companies,
Sir,
they want to
one question, sir.
implement Six Sigma in organization. Yes?
Sir, why only 3.4? I didn't understand. Means why not 1.52? Means what is the significance of this one? DPM.
Pardon? Why do?
No, why only 3.4? How this 3.4 came arrived?
This is coming because of some statistical this thing. So we will be learning about what you call as a normal distribution. So this because comes from statistics. But again, you can also go less than 3.4, maybe 2 or 1, something like that. But again, that is going to take a lot of effort. So the benefits what you are going to get may not be more than what the effort you are going to take. Right. So only in very critical cases, maybe like aeroplane engine manufacturing or space research or something like that, where it is critical, then going for a zero defect may be worth it. But for the other, maybe for automobile components or electronic components, maybe Six Sigma itself will be giving a substantial. And if you want to still reduce the defects, maybe you can reduce it, but the cost what you are going to incur may be more than the benefit what you are going to get out of that. So this is actually a typical picture you will get when you do the Six Sigma project. So before doing the project, you can see that assume that this you are doing for a yield in a chemical process. Before the project was taken up, the average rejection was around 21%, and there was a variation from 15 to 25%. But after the Six Sigma project was taken up and the critical root causes were identified, then we were able to drastically reduce the scrap to around 8%. But you can also see the variability also is reduced. So this is a typical picture I would like to see when you come and say that you have completed a Six Sigma project. So you should be able to show that there is a drastic improvement in the metric, whatever you wanted to improve. At the same time, variability in the process also has reduced. So now let us learn what is Six Sigma. The Six Sigma is a data-driven, structured statistical methodology to achieve the DPMO of 3.5. So it's a data-driven approach. So whenever you want to do a Six Sigma project, then you need to collect a lot of accurate data from the process. And this accurate data, you will have to again analyze through the statistical tool. And then you will be able to find out the critical root causes for the problem so that you can take action, implement action and then you will be able to search and the improvement. So again, it's a structured statistical method. So any Six Sigma project has to undergo the 5 phases, like the remake methodology. It has to pass through the 5 phases. That is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So each phase will take around 1 month or so. So typically, Six Sigma project will take around 5 to 7 months for completion. So if your managing director comes and tells you that the yield in your process has drastically reduced from 95% to 80%, and he wants you to take that as a Six Sigma project and then solve it within 1 month, then Six Sigma is not the right approach. So you need to follow a structured methodology and then collect a lot of data and analyze the data with the statistical tool, and then you'll have to solve the problem. But once you solve the problem, the solution is going to be permanent. So that is the advantage of using Six Sigma. So it was first implemented in Motorola in the year 1987 and followed by the Allied Signals, that is currently the Honeywell and the General Electric. And initially, you can see it was implemented only in manufacturing companies. But starting from the year 2000, now the IT service center companies and software development companies also have started implementing Six Sigma. So the Infosys, Bank of America, American Express. So these are some of the companies which implemented this methodology as early as in the 2000. So it is, if you think that because of Six Sigma, a lot of new inventions were made. So it is not right. It was only the consolidation of the existing tools and concepts. So already a lot of statistical tools and the quality tools and lead tools were already available. But these tools were nicely packed, and it defined like which tools and techniques should be used in the defense phase, which tools and techniques should be used in measure phase and all. It was nicely packed, and then it was started to implement as a Six Sigma. So it is a toolkit was for solving process problems. So like how a electrician or a plumber or a carpenter is having a tools box, so that whenever you talk to him about a problem, then from the tools box, he will take away some tools for analyzing the problem. And again, from the tools box, he will take some other tools for solving the problem. So similarly, whenever you are going to be exposed to the Six Sigma methodology, then you are going to be exposed to a lot of tools, a lot of quality tools, more than 100 to 150 tools you'll be learning. So classified into quality tools, lean tools, statistical tools, creative problem solving tools and all. So whenever you have a process problem, then from the you can again select some of those tools for analyzing the problem. And again from the same toolbox, we'll be able to select some other tool for solving the problem. The Six Sigma is just like a tools kit box for solving the process problem. And there are two major forces which are driving the Six Sigma, that is the customer satisfaction, financial benefit. So any Six Sigma project should start with identifying the problems what the customer is having and solve those problems and improve the customer satisfaction. And again, since it is going to be an extensive methodology for problem solving, again, it will help you. So it should help you to achieve a lot of financial benefit. So there are, as I told you, the Six Sigma, the DMAIC methodology is used for improving the existing process and existing problem. So if your process is existing for more than 1 year and variability is the issue, then you can solve those problems by using the DMAIC methodology. And I will now explain you what are the different activities you do in the different phases. So the different phase, you just identify the customer who is having the problems with your product or service. Then listen to the voice of customer and then try to understand what is the pain point he's having. Then suppose, for example, you talk to the customer and the customer may talk about the delivery issue. Then the pain to him is the delivery, and then link the delivery to a measurable metric. So how are you measuring the delivery performance? So you are measuring the delivery performance in terms of the percentage on time delivery. Then you just quantify what is the current status, what the target you want to achieve, then define the scope of the project, appoint a project leader, project team, and then explain the business case, why you are taking the project, what are the benefits you are going to get, and then prepare the schedule, and then prepare the budget, and document everything in a document, which is called as the project charter. So the project charter is actually the major deliverable from the define phase. So once you have defined the problem in the define phase, then during the measure phase, just start collecting the data. So again, you just do some measurement system analysis to ensure that your measurement system is capable of giving accurate data. Because the data is not accurate, then the conclusions, whatever you are going to make from the statistical tool is not going to be accurate. So you need to ensure that your measurement system is right. Again, there are some statistical tools to do that. And also you have to calculate the current process capability. So what is the process capability in terms of sigma level? So you calculate it once during the measure phase before the improvement is done. And again, you calculate after the improvement is done to really compare apple to apple and then see the real improvement has taken place. So the measurement system analysis, process capability analysis, and the data collection that happened in the measure phase. So in the analyze phase, whatever the data you have collected, you analyze with the help of the statistical tool, and then you just narrow down the 3 or 4 critical root causes which are contributing substantially for the problem. And in the improve phase, you take action only on those 3 or 4 critical root causes. And in the control phase, you'll find that by closely monitoring and controlling 1 or 2 critical root causes, you'll be able to get a consistent outcome. So that is how problem is solved within the domain methodology. So this is again the problem solving funnel. We call this a problem solving funnel. So the define phase, you just start with a fishbone diagram. Maybe I think some of you would have already knowing about this. This is also called as a cluster effect diagram or a Ishikawa diagram. So where you do a brainstorming session with around 8 to 12 people in front of the moderator, and then you just end up identifying some 40 to 60 potential root causes for the problem. So again, you just prioritize these root causes by using the various quality tools and the statistical tool, so that at the end of the analysis phase, you are going to narrow down the critical 3 to 4 root causes. And in the improve phase, you are going to make the improvement, take improvement action only on those 3 or 4 critical root causes. And in the control phase, you will find that by closely monitoring and controlling 1 or 2 critical input, you will be able to get a consistent outcome. So this is how the problem is solved in the domain methodology, Six Sigma. So again, we have seen that Six Sigma is a structured methodology for problem solving. So again, there are again, one of the structure in Six Sigma is about the organization structure. So you know how the organization structure is very important for any organization. The main reason why you need a proper structure is that whenever there is any problem, the employees should know to whom they should go so that the problem can be solved. So similarly, in an organization where they want to implement Six Sigma, a parallel Six Sigma organization structure is in place so that the project leader or the project team member, whenever they face any issues, then they know to whom they should go so that the problem can be solved. So the structure starts with the executive leadership or the senior management, that is the topmost person in the organization, the CEO or the managing director. And here to give the overall directions for the Six Sigma initiative in any organization. And he has to arrange for training at all levels of the organization. He has to give a proper positive environment for the cultural change within the organization. And the champions are the functional heads, the senior management people who are directly reporting to the managing director. And the role of the champion is to give the proper resources for the project, and they will have to remove the roadblock. Typically, they will be providing the administrative support for the Six Sigma project leader. So they will select the projects, they will lead the project leaders and project team, and they ensure that they are getting the right support, administrative support for completing the project. So master black belt is actually a person who is going to give the technical guidance for the project. So whenever I say technical, it is not that for a construction project, then the master black belt will give a civil engineering related input. But when I say it technical, it is more related to the Six Sigma approach. So the master black belts will guide the black belt or the green belt project leader to what type of data they need to collect from the process, then which statistical tools they should be used for analyzing the data, how to interpret the data, and how to paint the control. They also help the project leaders and project teams to prepare the project document and arrange for the review with the senior management so that adequate resources can be given for the project. And the black belts are normally from the middle management, managers and senior manager. And their main role is to lead the uh, complex Six Sigma project to solve the complex technical issue within the sophisticated statistical tools. So again, they'll have to have a strong leadership skills so that they'll be able to take up some project to solve some interdepartmental problems also. So their role is supposed to be a full-time role. So 100% of their time should be spent on the Six Sigma related activity. So green belts normally from the lower management, maybe the engineers and senior engineers, deputy managers and stuff. So they can lead a small independent project in their own department, or they can become a part of the black belt team. So again, their role is more of a part-time. Roughly around 30% of their time is spent on the Six Sigma related activity. Yellow belts are normally from the lower management. So whose main role is to support the green belt and black belt project leader in terms of collecting the accurate data from the process during the measure phase, and again to closely monitor and control the critical inputs and process conditions during the control phase. So these are very critical for achieving and sustaining the improvement, and the role of the yellow belt is very, very critical. White belts is again a sort of a awareness training is given to all the employees who are working in the department where the Six Sigma project is taken up. So that they will be able to contribute to the Six Sigma project. Right? So that is about the overview of Six Sigma. Now we are going to learn about what is lean. So lean is a systematic method for elimination of waste. So and was originally created by Toyota. So the Toyota, uh, initially they were into the handloom business during the 1900s, and in 1936 the Toyota automobile was created, and immediately the Second World War came, 1939 to 1945, and then the Japan was totally devastated after the dropping of the atom bombs in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And then the Japanese companies were working hard to come out of the problem. And the Toyota became very active during the 1950s, and they became the pioneers for implementing lean. So the core idea in lean is to maximize the customer value while minimizing waste. So when I talk about value, so that means the change in shape or form for which the customer is willing to pay. So for example, if you want to take a delivery of your car and you want a color of your choice, and then you are willing to pay for that. But because of some miscommunication while the production is being done in the car, then because of that, some extra money has been spent. As a customer, you may not be willing to pay for that thing. So any rework or scrap or this type of this thing, we call that a non-value added activity, right? It is not adding any value to the customer because you are not willing to. So any rework or scrap will be considered as non-value. So lean means creating more value for customers with fewer resources. So if you want to coin a slogan for lean, you can say it more with less. That means more output with less inputs. So, for example, assume that currently you are selling a particular item at 100 rupees, 100 INR, and the cost price is 90 INR, and profit is 10. But if you are going to implement lean, then you are going to give more features and functions to the product. So the customer is willing to pay more. Say he is willing to pay 110 INR. And since you are going to do it with the lesser resources, then the cost base is going to be only 98, 88. So that means your profit is going to be better. That means 3 times your profitability is going to improve if you are going to implement lean. So that is the reason why most of the companies, they want to implement lean in their organization. So the lean will help in
please,
systematically reducing the
please
cycle
once
time,
again explain
errors,
this.
inventory, and response quickly to customer. Yes.
So kindly once again explain the second example, the 110 INR, how it comes to 80 INR.
I am saying that since you are going to add more value to the customer, you will be getting more price from the customer. So selling price is going from 100 to 110. And since you are going to do it with lesser resources, your cost of production is going to go down from 90 to 80. So overall, your profitability is going to improve 3 times. I'm just giving some approximate numbers, just to
Okay.
tell you that you will be able to get a better price with the lower production cost, so that your
Okay.
profitability is going to improve. Okay. Okay. So when we talk about waste, and so we have seen that lean is identifying and eliminating waste in the process. So when you talk about waste, immediately what comes to your mind is what we are physically scrapping in our production code. But that is not the only waste. According to Lean, there are 8 different types of waste are there. So these 8 types of waste, we can just remember by remembering the word downtime. So downtime is actually an acronym where each letter stands for a particular word. So D stands for defects, O stands for overproduction, W stands for waiting, N stands for non-utilized talent, T stands for transportation, I stands for inventory, M stands for motion, and E stands for export cost. So these are the 8 different types of waste. So we'll learn about them one by one. So first is about defects. So any rework or any scrap, whatever you are doing in our process, so we call it a wastage due to the defect, because it is not adding any value to the customer. Overproduction is when you produce more than needed or before it is needed. For example, sometimes maybe your order inflow is not quite uniform. So during the time when you get very low orders and you are unable to fill the capacity for the plant, then you may think that you will just, in order to avoid the machine and the manpower remaining idle, you will invest in the material and then you will produce some items, assuming that certain order will come from the customer. So without the firm order from the customer, we may start producing and keeping it the finished good, so that you will think as and when the customer gives the order, then you can deliver from the finished good. So that's what is overproduction, producing more than needed or not needed by the customer. So if you are going to do that, always there's a possibility that if the customer is not going to give the order, then everything is going to go as a waste. You may have to ultimately it will lie as a non-moving stock. So in order to avoid overproduction, you have to produce the right product. That means you have to produce the product only for which you have the firm order from the customer. You have to produce the right quantity exactly as needed by the customer, and right time. So only when the customer needs it. Don't deliver before it is needed also. So always produce only when it is needed and with the right quality. So the third one is about waiting. So waiting is a wasted time waiting for the next step in a process. So whenever you are doing a end process, in the end-to-end process, maybe you may be having some 4 or 5 steps, and we cannot expect that all the steps are going to produce with the same speed. So maybe one may take more time and the other may take less time. So you will find that invariably there will be a lot of material waiting in front of the process, which is very slow. So again, the waiting time is actually wastage according to the lean. Then the fourth one is about non-utilized talent. So non-utilized talent is where you are not using the talent of your employees. Right? When I ask the question to my students, about what percentage of your capabilities are being utilized by your current organization, they always get an answer from 50 to 60%. That means 40 to 50% of the employees' uh, talent are not being utilized by the organization, and that is going to be one of the huge waste to any organization. The fifth one is about transportation, mainly due to the layout issue, unnecessary movement of the products and material. And in case of IT service company, it may be unnecessary movements of information traveling here and there without any purpose. And the sixth one is about inventory. Inventory is where you have just locked up, is actually the effort which has not been converted into money. So in the manufacturing, any raw material inventory or the work in progress or a finished good, that we consider as a inventory. Whereas in a IT service or a software development company, any work that has been done but that has not been monetized by delivering to the customer, that we can consider as an inventory. And inventory is actually a huge waste according to Lee. The seventh one is about motion, unnecessary movement by people. So again, if you are the production flow is such that operator has to bend a bit in order to load the machine. He has to stretch a bit in order to unload the machine, and he has to walk some 50 meters to transfer the material to the storage area. So this bending, stretching, and walking, he will make him too tired too so, and then he's going to be his efficiency is going to be reduced. So again, if the people are asked to work in a unfavorable condition where there is a lot of heat, a lot of noise, or a lot of dust, or they have to lift a lot of weight, the working tools are not provided properly, then the people will get tired and then their efficiency is going to be reduced. So in IT service companies, again, the back pain, neck pain, obesity. So these are all some of the problems that is coming because of the motion related issue. The last one is about extra processing, doing more work than needed by the customer. So doing some double time QC or ensuring that 5 times approval for a 10,000 rupees investment, etc. So these are all something where you are doing more than what is required. We got to say. So these are the 8 different types of waste which you need to consciously identify and eliminate in your process so that your efficiency will improve. Then there are some most commonly used lean tools. So I have listed some of those here, and some of them you will learn out, some of them you will be learning at the end. Kaizen is actually a small improvement. So again, whenever you talk about Kaizen, we are not talking about a very breakthrough improvement. It is a small improvement. So the concept in Kaizen is small drops of water makes a big ocean. So small projects on making some improvement, like Japanese companies, they are very much fond of this Kaizen approach. So by encouraging the employees to just to take up some small project that may help to improve the productivity by 0.5% or reduce the errors by 0.5%. So they will just encourage, and then that will keep the employees always engaged and then in a continuous improvement mindset. Just-in-time concept is mainly used for reducing the inventory. So as soon as the customer places the order, immediately it goes to the inventory manager and they will check and then place the order to the supplier for the required item. And then the supplier will supply the material. Directly it will go into the production flow. And then at the end of the day, the production will be completed and then delivered to the customer. So there is no inventory either at the raw material state or the working progress state or by a finished goods state, so that the efficiency will be the best and inventory will be the minimum. So again, many of the car assembly companies, they just use this particular tool. So these are some of the lead tools. So now we will just have a quick look at the different phases and what is the role of the development. So in the define phase, as I told you, like you need to identify the customer who is having the problem, and then you have to talk to the customer and find out what is the problem they are having and identify a metric for improvement. And then a Pareto diagram is actually a tool that will help you to prioritize the root causes for immediate action. So this word Pareto is derived from Wilfredo Pareto, So he was an Italian economist, and he was doing a research on how the wealth of Italy was distributed among the Italians. So he found that 80% of Italy's wealth was distributed among 20% of Italians. That means the wealth distribution in Italy was not quite uniform. So it is also called as 80-20 rule. And it was first used for problem solving by Ishikawa, the Japanese political. He told that 80% of the impact of the problem are caused by the 20% of the cost. And if you are able to identify these 20% of causes and take action, then 80% of the problem is going to be solved. I just give a small example. So assume that you are working for a IT service companies where around 4,000 employees are working. And in your company, there is a IT support tool is there. So whenever you have any hardware or software issue, then you can plug it to the tool. So somebody from the IT support team, they will attend to the problem and then they will inform you. And once you confirm that the problem has been solved, then the ticket can be closed. So again, in that company, maybe there are 20 IT support team people are there, and the management thought that it is too high. They took up a project to just reduce the number of manpower. So a project was taken up. So maybe it was found that on an average, around 1,000 tickets are raised every month. And when the team just analyze, and then a ticket can be raised because of any of the 20 possible causes. So like the mouse issues or keyboard issues or unable to install software and so on. There are 20 possible causes for which you can raise the ticket. Second, when the project team, they collected the data, they found that 80% of the impact of the problem, that is 80% of 1,000 tickets, that is 800 tickets, are caused by only 20% of the causes. That is 20% of 20. That is 4. So 4 causes are contributing to 800 tickets. And if you are able to identify these 4 causes and take action, then your 80% of the problem is going to be solved. So again, you can see here the mouse issue, keyboard issues, and unable to insert software. So these 3 are contributing to them. So if you are able to solve these 3 problems, the majority of the more number of tickets are going to be reduced. And accordingly, you will be able to reduce the manpower. So in a Six Sigma project, a Pareto diagram is actually used to narrow down the scope of the project. Again, in your own work area, so whenever you want to do some improvement project, like
One question.
reduction, yeah.
So this means, for example, 80% of any X, say, it will come, but means every time this 20% of the 20 will come. I'm asking.
Hmm?
How will you get
80%?
20% of the 20 possible causes? Just
Yeah, I told you 80% of the Pareto rule says 80% of the problem is caused by only 20% of the causes. So there are 20 possible reasons for which you can raise a ticket. But what the Pareto chart says that only 20% of this 20, there is only 4 causes will contribute to 800 tickets. So the essence is that only few causes are going to contribute to a substantial problem. So if you are able to identify those few causes and solve, then majority of the problem is going to be solved. So that is what is the basic. Okay.
okay, sir. Thank you.
So again, one of the main important deliverable from the defined phase is the project charter. So project charter is actually a single page document giving high level information about the project. So again, you are going to write a broad problem statement. So what is the problem you are trying to solve? So that means what is the metric you are taken for improvement? What is the current status? And how long the product is existing? So that, as I told you, only a problem which is like for so much of time will be selected as a Six Sigma project, at least for 1 year. Then the goal statement, what is the target you want to achieve and by when? Business case is the reasons for doing the project. What are the benefits you are going to do by doing the project? Timeline when each phase is going to start at date, defined by the analysis through and before. Scope of the project, again, what is going to be the scope of the project? So which product or which customer or which process or which defect type you are going to work upon. So the narrower the scope of the project, the better is the probability that the project can be completed within a reasonable. Then the team members, who is the project leader and project team. So this project charter is a single page document signed by the senior most person, senior management person, so that you can take that as a approval or the support from the senior management for the successful completion of the. Again, this is a sample project charter. And again, this is a small case study to explain how the DMAIC methodology can be used for solving a problem. So this is based upon my own personal experience. So that was the first day after my daughter had gone to the school after the summer vacation. And when she came back, I found that she was feeling sad. So when I asked her the reason for that, she was not really coming out with the answer. But when I put a lot of pressure on her, then finally she told that she is feeling bad because when all her other friends were explaining about their wonderful experience in an exotic location outside uh, outside location, then she was not able to tell anything because she had not gone anywhere outside for the vacation. So I was feeling even bad because I was the one who did not take her for an outside location because I was not having any money. So even though I was earning around $120,000 per annum, but for the last 5 years, I was unable to save even a single penny. So then I thought, why I cannot take that as a Six Sigma project. So again, we start with identifying the customer. So the customer here is my daughter, and the voice of customer said that I am feeling sad because I did not have anything to say about my summer vacation. And the metric taken for improvement is my saving. So the problem statement says that savings is zero against a target of 5% for the last 5 years. So whenever you define a Six Sigma project, always you should be identifying a very clear metric and then what is the current performance of the metric. Same way, whenever you are defining the goal statement, then what is the improvement you are expecting from the for the metric, and then by when we want to complete the project, and expected annual saving, and what is the project timeline. So these are the major elements of the project. So again, as I told you, a Pareto chart can be used for narrowing down the scope of the project. So again, my aim was to reduce the expenses by 5% so that I can save around 5%. So I had the data on how the money was spent on various heads. And then I found that rent, food, and shopping, these three were contributing to around 70% of the expenses. So about the rent, I could not do much about it because that was one of the lowest rent area in that location. But about the food, I was surprised that we are spending around $30,000 only on food. So we thought that there is a lot of scope for reducing the food expenses. So by using the Pareto chart, now we are able to narrow down the scope of the project only to the food expenses. Then again, I had the data on how the food expenses vary month on month from January to December 2021. So here you can see that the average was 30,000 per annum, that is $2,500 per month, and the target was around $2,000 per month. So you already see that out of these 12 months, at least 4 months, I was already achieved less than or slightly equal to the target. So that means by taking a Six Sigma project, I am not trying to bend the sky. I am not trying to achieve something which I have never achieved before. So what I want to achieve is I want to achieve whatever the best performance I have achieved in the past. I want to achieve it consistently. Many times what happens is in our processes, sometimes our processes are very good, sometimes it is very bad. We do not know why it is very good or why it is very bad, what are the root causes that are impacting that. But by doing a systematic problem solving approach by like a Six Sigma, you'll be able to identify the critical root causes that are contributing to the problem so that you can take them immediate control. So the learning from this slide is that we are not trying to achieve something not achievable by doing a six sigma project. But whatever the best we have achieved in the past, we want to now achieve the practice. Then during the analysis phase, we just start with a fishbone diagram to just list all the potential root causes for the problem. And then we prioritize the root causes by using the tool which is called as a positive effect diagram, which this tools again you will learn more in depth in the green belt or the black belt course. So by prioritizing them, you'll be able to find that the meat restaurants,
Sir, will you go back, sir, kindly?
Yeah.
Sir, the before one? Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Take.
So we will be able to identify that meat, restaurants, and oil, ice creams, and chocolate. These are the four critical root causes which are contributing to the higher food expenses. So maybe since it's only a case study, I'm just listing this. But whenever you are doing a real-time Six Sigma project, you may be using some statistical tools just to validate that these are the three materials. Then again, these are the improvement actions I took. So I reduced the consumption of meat from twice a week to once in a week. We reduced the consumption of oil from 4 liters per month to 2 liters per month. Reduce the number of visits to restaurants from once in a week to once in 2 weeks. So previously we were going every Sunday. Now we decided that we will go only alternate Sunday. We reduce the consumption of ice creams and chocolate. All these actions resulted in annual cost saving of $6,000. Also, the health expenses also reduced from 5,500 to $2,000. That means whatever the money we are spending on all these four causes were not only contributing to the higher food expenses, but they were also not good for our health. And then there was also adding to a health expenses. But once we are able to take some corrective action, then we were able to reduce the health expenses. So this is what will happen whenever you take a Six Sigma project in your real-time project. So you do a project to improve the productivity. At the end of the project, you will find that your productivity has improved, your yield has also improved, and your quality has also improved. You do a project to improve the yield. At the end of the project, you will find that the yield has improved, your productivity has improved, and quality has improved. So multiple benefits you will get by doing a 60. So again, during the control phase, we are able to see that previously we can, before improvement, the variation was quite high and average was quite high at 2,500. But after the improvement was completed, again, we can see there's a drastic reduction in the variation and the drastic reduction in this expenses, right? So this is a typical graph you get once you do a Six Sigma. So now the current state is almost more than 20 years I did the project. Now my annual savings has increased to 10% of my salary for the last 5 years. And my expenses on health and loan repayments also have come down. So initially, I just did the project only to reduce the food expenses. But at the end, I found that the health expenses also came down. And then since I was saving more and more, my loan commitments are also coming down. And then that, again, that also has reduced. So as I told you, multiple benefits you will get by doing the Six Sigma project. So now every year I enjoy the vacation with my family in an exotic location. And most important of, I can see happiness in my daughter's face during vacation for which I can never fix a money. So again, we call this a intangible benefit. By doing a project, we'll be able to get both the tangible and intangible benefit. Tangible benefits are those which can be expressed in terms of money. Intangible benefits are those maybe they are very important, but they cannot be measured in terms of. So that was about the defined phase. So the measured phase, again, as I told you.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the old last slide? Here, how did you calculate this USL and LSL?
How do you
Here, it's
calculate?
completely different. This observation, USL and LSL. The first one is 3920 USL.
Huh?
The second one it came to 2399.
Yeah, so these are all calculated at the back end by Minitab, no? Based upon your data, I will just show you in short about how the Minitab works. So whenever you are doing this, again, as I told you, a lot of statistics will be used, but we will be taking the green belt and black belt training in such a way that you will know how to do it in Minitab. Right? All those LCL and UCL, they will be calculated the background by the Minitab. Just you have to feed in the data and then the Minitab will calculate.
Okay.
So in the measure phase, then as I told you, then we need to make a data collection plan. And then again, as I told you, then we'll be using some basic statistics. We'll be learning about some basic statistics, like the calculating the summary values, like again, how we can measure percent tendency. The measure percent tendency will just give an idea where most of the data points are likely to fall. So again, these are some of the basic statistics, whatever you have learned during the school day. The mean, median, and mode. So in order to calculate the mean, add all the values, data points, divided by the total number of data points. Median, you arrange all in the descending order or ascending order, and the middlemost number is the median. And mode is the most commonly occurring data point. Right? So again, by whenever you are collecting some data, so calculating the value of mean and median or mode will exactly give you where your process is. Right? So for example, you have your target value. Again, as I told you, you are grinding 11 millimeter rod to a 10 millimeter rod, and then after grinding for some time, you take some sample, and then you take some 50 sample, and then you calculate the mean. So mean may come to 10.3. Then you will immediately know that you will have to make some adjustment in your process condition so that the mean can be reduced from 10.3 to a target value of 10.3. So calculating this summary values will help you to immediately take the corrective action in your project so that the variation can be reduced and then your defect also can be reduced. So I will just show you how we can do that in data. So again, in order to calculate the measure for dispersion, what is the extent of variability in the data, then you can calculate the range, standard deviation, and variance. Again, these are some of the values which already might have learned in the college days. So calculating typically the mean is the most commonly used measure for self-tendency, and the standard deviation is the most commonly used measure for dispersion. So once you know the mean and standard deviation of your process, and you know what is the target value we should get in the process, and what is the plus or minus target, what are the lower and upper specification limit given by the customer. So what is the range given by the customer, and you know what is the mean and standard deviation of your process, then you will be able to clearly know whether what is the problem in your process, whether mean is shifting far away from the target or whether the variation is small. So that as the process is running, you will be able to take some corrective action so that your defect rate can be reduced. So I'm taking it a very high level, but again, we will be learning about more of these in the green and black belt program. So again, the box plot is a graphical tool that will help you to present the data in the graphical format. Because whenever you are collecting the data in the measure phase, then whatever the data you are going to collect, if you are going to present as rows and columns in an Excel sheet, then it will be very difficult for the people to understand what you are really coming to say. So instead of that, you are presenting in a picture, like graphical plot, like a box plot or a histogram or a pie chart. Then it will be easy for the people to understand. So for example, now assume that maybe you are producing some items in 4 different lines, and then you are measuring the weight, how the weight is distributed. So you want to see whether all the 4 lines are producing the same. Then you can plot the box plot, and then you can see here that in the line 1, maybe a lot of variation is there. Line 2, the variation is less. And line 3 and 4, maybe suppose now your target value is 6. So the line 3 and 4, the values are far away from the target, whereas in line 1, variation is quite high. So out of all the 4 lines, then the line 2 is actually giving the best result because its mean is nearer to the target and the variation is also there. So this type of very good information you will be able to get by plotting the graphical system. Okay? So box plot is one thing, program is another thing. Scatter plot is another graphical tool that will help you to check whether there is a relationship between two variables. Okay? So for example, in this case, in a pizza making process, we are getting a lot of scrap because of the burnt and uncooked pizza. So we wanted to check whether there is a relationship between the thickness and the percentage of uncooked or burnt pizza. So by using the scatter plot, then we'll be able to establish that there is a strong relationship. Then we can just try to focus how we can reduce the variance in the thickness of the pizza so that the scrap can be reduced. Because you can see that if the thickness is very high at 6.5, then the scrap due to the percentage of uncooked pizza is very high at 7%. And if the thickness is very low at 5.5%, then the percentage of burnt pizza is 14%. So if you are able to keep the thickness of the pizzas consistently somewhere near 6.05, then your rejection rate is going to be very low. So by using the scatter plot, we'll be able to just establish.
So what is the
whether
tolerance limit for this one?
What is that?
Now, what is the tolerance limit?
No, I'm just saying that there's a lot of variation, right? So here the scatter plot will establish that there is a strong relationship between the thickness and the percentage of uncooked and burnt pizza. So if you are able to control your process to control the thickness to every narrow ring, then your scrap rate can be reduced. So this inference you will be able to make by plotting the scatter. Okay. With the control phase, again, we can use some of the lean tools like the 5S. 5S, I think maybe some of you would already know. 5S stands for 5 Japanese words, starting with A, yes, Seiri, Seito, Seizo, Saikatsu, and Shishuke. So they mainly used for improving the workplace discipline. So again, in an organization where you want to implement Six Sigma, even before implement Six Sigma, if you are able to implement Lean, then the people will be exposed to some of the process improvement methodology, and then they'll be ready to absorb the complex methodologies like Six Sigma. And even before implementing Lean, if you are able to implement 5S, then people will be able to have a lot of workplace discipline. If you are going to implement Lean or Six Sigma without the proper process discipline, then whatever the improvements we may achieve, we may not be able to sustain. So that is the reason we implement 5S. So the 5S stands for 5 Japanese words, starting with S. Seiri means sorting. So we'll have to sort out what is required and what is not required. And not required items we'll have to remove from the place. And then required items we'll have to keep it according to the frequency of use. Seito is setting in order whatever the items you have kept, you'll have to arrange in a systematic order with a proper color coding and with a proper identification tag, so that your searching time is going to be reduced. Seizo is shining or cleaning. So you'll have to periodically clean your machines and workplace so that the accidents and breakdowns can be reduced. Seikatsu is sanitize. Whatever the work you are going to do, you'll have to standardize so that even if 10 different people are going to do the work, all the people will be doing it in the same way. And you are also talking about visual management. So you'll have to have the performance of your KPIs in a fixed format, in a graphical format, displayed across the organization, so that everybody will be aware about what is the current situation of the performance. That is about the Seikatsu. And Shitsuke is sustaining. So whatever the improvements you have achieved for these 4 S's is to be able to sustain. Second, the daily visit by senior management, doing the regular 5S audit, and recognizing and rewarding the people who are doing a good job. These are all some of the actions you can take in order to sustain the improvement. So that is about 5S that will help you to improve the workplaces. And Pokayoke again is actually a tool, lean tool, which will help you to reduce the any problems due to the manual error. Right? So again, I will just give you some examples. Pokayoke means you are trying to put in some foolproof system in place so that even if someone wants to deliberately make a mistake also, the system will not allow them to make a mistake. For example, you get into a car and then you forgot to secure the seat belt. After moving for some time, you will get an alert indicating that the seat belt is not fastened properly, or maybe a door is not closed properly, or the handbrake is not released properly. So that is in Pokayo. You are getting an alert. Similarly, the manufacturer of the washing machine or the microwave oven, they know that when the equipment is switched on, when it's a running condition, it is curious to help. So the design of the machine is done in such a way that as soon as you start the machine, then automatically the equipment will switch on. So after making the improvement, then you will have to put in some Pokayoke mechanism in place so that you will be able to sustain the improvement. And during the control phase, you also just do some control chart, as I was showing in the case study. So in order to check whether how the process is going, whether any stressful processes are there, or whether how far it is deviating from the target and how far the availability of the process. So after the improvement is completed and during the control phase, you'll have to closely monitor and control the 1 or 2 critical input, and also you'll have to monitor the performance of the output, whether you are getting a consistent output. So that as and when any problem comes, then you can immediately adjust the process condition so that your variability is less and the defectivity is also going to be less, for which you do the control check. Yes, Raj? Any question? Okay. So again, one of the other control mechanisms you can put in place is the control plan. So control plan is also called as a quality plan. So you just make a document on what are the inspections and testing you are going to do on the process and on the products, so that you will be able to get a consistent output. So mainly used in automobile industries, but nowadays in majority of the other companies also they use this. So this document will give a clear information on each and every step of the process. So what are the inspections you are going to do, so that your process is also controlled and your product is also controlled, so that you will get a consistent process. So again, when you complete a Six Sigma project, again you will have to make the necessary changes to the control plan with whatever the recommendations you are going to give, so that you will be able to sustain. So the using of the lean tools like the 5S or Pokayoke, and using the statistical process control in order to control the critical inputs and process condition, and using the control plan, then you will be able to sustain that. So that is about the very high level information about the overview of Six Sigma and overview of team. So we typically just teach the green belt and the black belt training program. So we have a weekend program every Saturday and Sunday from 7:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. So it will go for 4 continuous weeks. And once you complete that, then you will have to take an exam. And it will also make you to do your project in your own area of work by using the AI tools, so that your understanding will be better. Right? So that is again, some of you are interested in going further, then you can contact this number. But now I think you got a very clear idea about the Six Sigma methodology and how it can be.
Sir, so now will you issue the certificate for the yellow belt? No?
Pardon?
Will you issue us the certificate for the yellow belt? No?
Yes, yes, sir. So you'll get the recording of this, and you will also get the this PowerPoint presentation, and you will also get the certificate.
Okay.
Okay. So any questions or any doubts you want to ask, you can just ask me. So we will just add you in our mobile app. So I will just show you the mobile app. So again, this is what we are going to have. For all the students who are taking our courses, so we just create a batch. So again, you'll be having the lifetime access for the content. So these were the study material. So what are the material we are using, so that you can proceed here. And the recordings of the video, again, you get it here. And we also have the quizzes. So after the completion of each and every topic, then we will just conduct some quizzes in order to ensure that they understand it better. So again, all these are the mobile app, and then you will be having the access to the mobile app. And then we also will give you the Minitab. Again, it is the lifetime validity. So whenever you want to analyze the data with the Minitab, again, when you take the green belt or the black belt, again, as I told you, we will just make you to do a project with the help of the dummy data, the simulated data. So you'll be using all the tools, whatever you have learned, and then you will also use the Minitab, and you will pick up a problem from your own process, so that how you can solve the problem by using the tools and techniques in the Six Sigma methodology, and how you can document that also. You will get some very good idea. And I'll just show you some projects which have been done by our students, even the latest batch. This is the students' projects. This is the September batch. For example, this particular person, she was into healthcare. So again, with the help of this AI tool, we were able to identify what are the possible problems she can solve by using the Six Sigma. Then what are the metrics we can improve. Then we took it through the entire remake methodology by using the Minitab. So how the problem can be solved. So this training will help you to improve your problem solving ability, and then you will be able to make a very clear differentiation. So a person who is exposed to Six Sigma and other person will be able to get a clear differentiation. So that is the point. So again, these are some of the Minitab types. So how these students, they use the Minitab to do some analysis. So these are our unique right? So typically, when you take the green belt or the black belt training, then you will be able to acquire the skill of how you can practically apply these tools and concepts in your area of work, so that you'll be able to make a differentiation. So that's what we are mainly for. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover. So maybe another 5 minutes we have. So if any one of you want any clarification, any questions you want to ask, you can ask me. So again, Six Sigma is just like a big ocean, so we cannot learn about that in 90 minutes. But I think this will be a spark, right? So that you can start exploring more and more about it, and then how you can utilize this certification and this skill for problem solving, and then how you can come up with a career. You will be able to plan. Okay. So any questions or any doubts, you can just ask me.
Hello, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yes, sir. Sir, for the black belt training one, so is there any direct class also we need to attend, or is it on the online, sir?
We normally conduct only the online trainings, and as I told you, from 7:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. IST, Saturdays and Sundays for 4 weeks, 32 hours is the black belt.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And then as I told you, you'll have to attend the session and you'll have to pass the exam conducted by us. And you will also have to complete your project, but you will get all the support from us. And the certificate, whatever you are going to get, so that will be, we will be having the logo of the CSSC also, that is the Council for Six Sigma certification. So that is a globally recognized certification, right? So you can see that this is what the certificate would look like. So we have our own company's logo and the Council for Six Sigma. This logo also will have. So again, our certificate is issued through the certificate issuing agency currently. So if any of your employees or potential employees, they want to check the authenticity of the certificate, then they can just give this. There will be a unique certification number there. So this will confirm that this will validate that the certificate has been issued by us. And again, we also will give you a link if any one of you wants to cross-check whether we are actually being accredited by Council for Six Sigma. Then by clicking on that link, then again we will show that our accreditation stage with status with the Council for Six Sigma. And this is our PAP certificate. We are also the authorized training provider partner for the PMP exam. So this is a certificate we now will provide. And for the people who are doing this, completing the project in their own area of work. So again, we are giving a separate project completion certificate. So this will be the wording. So certificate of achievement. So these two certificates, so and so, I successfully completed the black belt project. Reduction in. So this is the title of the project with the simulated data under my guidance after successful completion of the black belt. So this exclusive project completion certificate we will get. And again, not necessary for you to share any of your confidential, your company, original company data, because again, that may be confidential. So whatever the project you are going to do is going to be done with a simulated data. Again, I'll just quickly show you. Recently, I completed a project. I conducted a corporate training for a Boto University in Botswana, and they were into microfinancing. So microfinancing, and then they were into some loan disbursement and for the employees microfinancing. So how the project can be done with the help of the ChatGPT, right? So by giving the appropriate prompts, so they were able to identify 10 real problems that can be solved in their own department. And then they selected a particular metric what they can try, and then systematically they did it. So all the data and everything was created, dummy data was created by ChatGPT, and then all the tools and statistical tools were properly applied so that he used made a final statement here. I can also do that. So this was the final document we made for the project. So this anybody who is having a knowledge in Six Sigma, nobody can reject this. It's fully authenticated. Nobody can challenge that. Nobody can question that. So this is again the microfinancing, payroll lending service. So these are the different. So again, you can see that for the Minitab, it also will be there. For the Minitab, statistical analysis, all the dummy data, all those things we'll be able to do. And then finally, this is the NPN project, right? So this project, even if you are going to give it to any experts, Six Sigma experts, nobody can really say that it's a bad, it's done bad. It's be meeting all the people. Right? And then you also will be able to confidently explain to your So again, regarding the cost, maybe I think you can just contact this particular contact ID I have given. So you can just maybe get into contact. Second, as I told you, this is only for you to just to give you a trigger. Second, as I told you, I think Bharat Vasan, you are asking, is the Six Sigma applicable in the beverage industry? So again, you just maybe ask for a 30 minutes session with me or one of my team member. Then we will explain you the same process what I have done, what I just now showed you. If you can use in a microfinancing where you are offering for some loan lending, this payroll services, then why not in beverage industry? So any vertical, any functions, any product or services, you will be able to apply the Six Sigma. And if you take the training from us, then you will get do a project in the beverage industry, whether you are working in production or quality, right? The problem you choose, then you will be able to complete the project. Yellow belt certificate maybe by next Tuesday or Wednesday. So we will either you will mail it to you or